Hey y'all, this is Miss Grant going over Eureka, Lesson 11, Absolute Value, Magnitude, and Distance. I'm only going to do a couple of problems overall, so this should be a pretty short video today. First we're going to talk about example 1, the absolute value of a number. The absolute value of 10 is written as the absolute value of 10. And when you see these bars here, that's how you know you've seen absolute value. On the number line, count the number of units from 10 to 0. How many units is 10 from 0? So they're asking what's the absolute value of 10. So if we look at our number line here, they've actually done it for us. If we start at 0, we have 1 spot, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So 10 is 10 spaces away from 0, so the absolute value of 10 is 10. It's also asking you what other number has an absolute value of 10 and why. So what other number on the number line is also 10 spaces away from 0? And we can see if we know we go to the right, we get positive 10, but I can still go to the left. So if I go to the left 10 spaces, let's see if I can get another number. You want to start at 0. We want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So negative 10 is also 10 spaces away from 0, so another number with an absolute value of 10 is going to be negative 10. And the why is because it's also 10 spaces away from 0. So that's kind of an exploratory challenge, just kind of figuring at this point, what do you think absolute value is? And really when we're talking about absolute value, we're talking about distance away, how far a number is away from 0. In this case, both positive 10 and negative 10 are 10 spaces away from 0. Okay? Eureka was really awesome. They actually put the vocabulary term on the bottom. So because this is a vocabulary term, we want to highlight, underline, box. And it's really good to just kind of highlight the whole thing. The absolute value of a number is the distance between the number and 0 on the number line. So how far is that number away from 0 on the number line? And with absolute value, it talks about distance, and distance is always positive. So whenever you're asked about absolute value, it's always going to be positive. So distance is always positive. All right, let's do some examples on the next page. So now we're on page S44, and we're looking at the top of S44. Okay. It says complete the following chart. We've got 3 problems here. I really only want to do 2 of them, so I'll nix that third one. It's given you a number, negative 6. They're asking for the absolute value of negative 6. Then they're also giving you a number line diagram to visually show the absolute value of the number. And then they want a different number with the same absolute value. To talk about negative 6, we want to plot negative 6 on our number line and see how far it is away from 0. So sometimes working backwards is the best way, starting at the number and going towards 0. And if we do that, well, that was negative 8. Silly mistake. Negative 6. Let's see, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the absolute value of negative 6 is going to be 6 because we're 6 spaces away from 0. And another number with the same absolute value, meaning the same distance from 0, can also be positive 6. And we can visually show that by starting at 0 and working our way the opposite direction 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We get positive 6. Let's do positive 8. The absolute value of positive 8. Let's start at our number line. Let's start at positive 8 and work our way back toward 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we are 8 spaces away from 0, so that's our absolute value. And another number with the same absolute value, if we start at 0 and work our way the other direction, the opposite direction, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's 8 spaces. The number 8 spaces away from 0 is going to be negative 8. So a number with the same absolute value is also going to be negative 8. Notice here how they are opposites, that numbers or opposite numbers have the same absolute value because they are the same distance from 0 according to the definition of opposites. Numbers that are the same distance from 0 but on opposite sides of 0. Okay? All right, let's try some real world problems. So I'm going to do I'm going to do about 3 exercises here. Exercise 4 through 19, but I'm only doing 3 of them. For each scenario, use absolute value to determine the magnitude of each quantity. Basically, just find the absolute value of the scenario. Maria was sick with the flu, and her weight changed as a result of it represented by -4 pounds. How much weight did Maria lose? If I look at my number -4 pounds, okay, I know she lost 4 pounds, but how much did she actually lose? We can't say -4 pounds because you can't lose negative pounds. So we have to have a positive number. So we want to find the absolute value of -4, and that's going to be 4. So she lost 4 pounds. And notice how I'm using the absolute value signs, which is those bars. All right, let's do 2 more scenarios. On the next page, S45, we're going to do number 6 and number 7. The elevation of Niagara Falls, which is located between Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, is 326 feet. How far is it above sea level? Okay. So I know that elevation is a key word here, and I know it's a positive word. And our number is 326 feet, and we want to see how far it is above sea level. So I want to find the absolute value of 326 because that's my integer. And that's going to be 326 feet above sea level. For number 7, how far below 0 is -16 degrees Celsius? So we know below is a keyword meaning negative, and our integer is -16 degrees, okay? And we're talking about distance, how far below this number is from 0, but we can't have negative distance, so we want to find a positive of our integers. We want to find the absolute value of -16. And how far is -16 away from 0? And that's going to be 16. So it is 16 degrees below 0. Boom. Easy enough. As long as you know that the absolute value of a number is always the positive form of the number, and that it's always how far that number is away from 0, then you've got absolute value down to a pat. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask your teacher, meaning me.